Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We have absolutely all been there. You unbox this brand new, highly anticipated ergonomic keyboard. You plug it into your computer, get your hands positioned perfectly, and suddenly, wait, you can't figure out how to type a simple Euro symbol or an accented A. The frustration just sets in immediately, right? You start digging through the manual, wondering why this expensive new piece of hardware is broken. But what if I told you the problem isn't your new keyboard at all? To understand why this happens, we kind of need to ask a slightly weird question. I want you to think about it for a second. When you press down on that little piece of plastic labeled with the letter A, does the keyboard actually send an A through the wire to your computer screen? It's this fundamental, everyday assumption we make literally every single time we sit at a desk. We just assume the hardware intrinsically knows the letters and symbols printed on its keys. Well, let's shatter that illusion right away. The answer is a hard no. Your physical device does not contain letters, numbers, or symbols at all. It's actually completely ignorant of the alphabet. Your shiny new keyboard is not sending an A, a copyright symbol, or, honestly, anything else you see printed on those keycaps. It only sends raw key presses. Behind the scenes, when you strike a key, what your keyboard is really doing is transmitting an HID code. That stands for Human Interface Device Code, and these are just standardized positional signals. See, your keyboard has absolutely no idea if the key you just pressed is supposed to mean a Euro symbol, or an A with an umlaut. It merely transmits the physical position of the key you activated. It essentially shouts, "Hey computer, the key in the second row, third column was just pushed down." And you know what? That is the entire extent of its job. So if the hardware doesn't know the letters, how do they actually reliably get to your monitor every day? Let's walk through the true journey of a keystroke. Step 1. You interact with the physical keyboard. Step 2. The keyboard fires off that raw positional HID key press. Now, step 3 is where the absolute magic happens. Your computer's operating system keyboard layout actually intercepts that signal. Finally, in step 4, the translated character appears on your screen. The absolutely vital thing to grasp here is that the translation, the actual meaning behind the press, happens entirely at step 3, exclusively inside your computer. Section 1. The Layout Translator. Software in charge. Because the operating system is the undisputed boss of your layout, let's contrast two completely different software setups using the exact same hardware. If you send a physical HID key press into a computer set to a US keyboard layout, it produces one specific character. But if you take that exact same physical keyboard, press the exact same physical button, and plug it into a computer running a German keyboard layout, it might produce a completely different character on your screen. The physical keyboard didn't change. The signal it sent didn't change. Only the software interpreting that signal changed. Section 2. Special characters. A software illusion. So this brings us to a huge pain point for a lot of users setting up a new workflow, and that's special characters. Characters like the copyright symbol, an enye, or an A. These are entirely software illusions created by the operating system. This means your hardware literally cannot physically send them directly to your screen, no matter how much you wish it could or how many buttons you mash. A perfect example of the software illusion at work is the concept of a dead key. A dead key is a specific key that produces no immediate character on your screen when you press it. Instead, it patiently waits. It waits to combine with your very next key press to create a brand new character. For instance, hitting a waiting key like an apostrophe and then hitting an E to magically produce an A with an accent. Or hitting a caret and then an O for an O. We really need to firmly establish that this waiting game, this whole combination math, is exclusively an OS feature. Let's make this crystal clear. Since dead keys live entirely in your computer's software layout, swapping out your physical keyboard will never add or remove your dead key behavior. If your old keyboard had dead keys on your current computer, well, your new ergonomic keyboard is going to have those exact same dead keys, because only changing the OS keyboard layout can alter that behavior. Section 3. Layout Editor Myth. Language Setting Limits. For users of advanced ergonomic boards, there's actually a huge community misconception about custom software like the More Ergo Layout Editor. People often think the editor is rewriting the rules of their computer, so let's break down its strict limits. Within the editor, there's a language or locale setting. But here is what that setting absolutely does not do. It doesn't change the physical HID codes sent by your hardware. It doesn't change your computer's overarching OS layout. It doesn't add or remove dead keys. And it totally does not change what characters your computer ultimately types. That locale setting merely changes what characters are visually displayed inside the editor software itself to make mapping easier for your eyes, is literally just a visual aid. The crucial point here is captured perfectly in this sort of golden rule from Musi research. The keyboard sends key presses. The operating system decides what those key presses become. I really want to anchor this deeply into your mind in this explainer today. If you internalize this single concept, you're honestly never going to look at your hardware the same way again, and troubleshooting your typing is going to become infinitely easier. Section 4. Actionable Solutions. Typing Special Symbols. Now that we know the OS is the undisputed boss, how do we actually empower you to get those elusive symbols back on your screen when setting up your new board? Well, here's a quick mental checklist for success. First, because your new keyboard works just like your old one under the hood, simply try your old keyboard combinations. If a specific combination produced a special character on your old keyboard, it's going to produce the same character on your new one, as long as your computer is using the same OS layout. Second, if you need new symbols that aren't natively there, you're going to have to use an international OS layout, like the US International layout built right into Windows. Third, you can explore alternative software layouts entirely, like YourKey, which is specifically designed for easier access to European characters. And finally, if all else fails, you can leverage your keyboard's software to create a macro that inserts the character, using a Unicode or ASCII input method, like an Alt-GR shortcut. Just remember, the true power to fix your layout is always on the software side, not in the plastic keys. By realizing your hardware is just a blind messenger, you unlock total control over your typing experience. You can finally stop fighting the hardware and start configuring the software. But, it does leave us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on today. Since your keyboard is merely a messenger blindly sending electrical signals into the void, what other digital illusions do you think are hiding right now between your fingers and the screen? Keep that in mind the next time you sit down to type.